If you recognize the sign, this video needs no introduction, you know exactly where I'm at. Let's head to the first hole. For those who have never been, there is a driving range at the course, but it does not allow for drivers. You know your boy needs to get in a few swings with his driver before the first tee, because if I don't, well, that's the result right there. Push it out way right. But if you hit it far enough right, you avoid the trees. Technically, I'm on another course right now. I believe that is the first hole of the green course. As a 7-iron, pushed that a little out to the right. I would wind up just beyond that bunker right there. I'm hiding behind the bags, chipping on for birdie. And not a terrible result considering I was short-sided chipping onto a downslope. So I'm putting for par. There's not a lot of forgiveness at Bethpage except for the greens. Most putts here are relatively flat. Oh, and you hate to see that. Burning edges already on the first hole. Second hole is a dogleg left. For some reason, this hole really suits my eye. If you cut the corner with a draw, you can really take off a lot of this hole. That is exactly what I do. I find the center of the fairway. That's 126 yards. I got a 9-iron adjusted for elevation. It's about 135 yards. That's a good old chunk and run. It would run about 10 feet to the hole. I got this birdie putt. We lipped out on the first hole. And we do the same on the second. But I can't be too mad about the way I've been putting. We'll move to the third hole. That is an 8-iron for about 155. A little downwind breeze. You do not want to miss this left or right. Left is much worse. So just hit it center. Kind of like what I did there. I don't usually find the center of the club face, but when I do, I'm usually 15 yards past the hole. So I have this long lag putt for birdie. The greens were a little slower than I've usually played on at Bethpage. I found it a little bit more controllable on this day. So we make a nice little tap in for a par, and we move to the fourth tee. Probably the hardest hole on the course for me, at least. Even though it's a par 5, I can never find the fairway except on this day. The hole becomes much easier when you find the center of the fairway. I guess you could say that about every single hole at Bethpage. The rough just really sucks. Speaking of the rough, I decide to spoil a good drive, and I find, well, not the rough, something much worse, the fescue. I'm only 93 yards away, so that is a gap wedge.
Be good, be all over it.
Surprised myself there with good contact. From where I was not expecting to be putting for birdie, yet here I am, just trying to get this close. I could 2-putt and get out with a par, and that is exactly what I do. I tap in for par. We will move to the 5th hole. If you thought the 4th hole was difficult, wait till you come to the 5th hole. To me, this is the most difficult par 4 on the front 9. In order to have any shot at hitting the green, you want to stay on the right side of the fairway. That is
That was the line I was going for.
exactly what I did there. I found the fairway, 170 yards. That's a 5-iron. I pulled that way left. And watching myself back, I can clearly tell that I'm overswinging. The tempo is just way too fast. And that's what makes Bethpage so difficult. These holes are very long, and it feels like you're 180 yards or more on every single approach shot. So I'm about 15 to 20 feet away for par. Right away, I knew I was going to miss that. But you know what? A bogey on this hole is not bad at all. I will take that. We move to the 6th hole. It is a sharp dog leg left. The aim point is left of the bunker that is just beyond the fairway. Unfortunately, I pushed it just a tad, and I found the fairway bunker. That's going to be a smooth tempoed 8-iron.
I hit that so good.
These are the times where I wish I had a second cameraman.
I had a feeling. 8-iron.
I hit the back of the green and rolled off just onto the fringe. If there is one deficiency I have around the greens, it is putting from the fringe. I can never gauge the speed correctly. I'm almost always blowing it past the hole like I do there. So I have this long par putt. Just pulled it a tad. That would be a bogey. We'll move to the 7th tee. 7th tee is a par 5. You want to aim out towards the center cut of those bunkers. Unfortunately, I blocked this drive way out to the right. That would be a theme throughout the rest of the round, unfortunately.
All right, well,
I think I can try to keep it low and just. You want to go straight? Go straight, right? What's the point of like laying up at me? I could keep it low. Have it just keep going down the car path, maybe get lucky.
Hey, yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I really don't think my caddy was going for this. But it's all about commitment.
Yes.
Yes, you got it.
What did I say?
It's all about commitment, folks. So this will leave me with just a 9-iron in. You know, and it's one thing for my drives to go right, but my irons, they never ever miss right. The entire day I struggled with pushing the ball right with my driver and irons. If you've watched any of my videos, 95% of my misses are left. So it was a very weird day for me. But looking on the bright side, I have a putt for par. Came up just a tad short with putt in for bogey. Bogeys are not a bad score here at Bethpage. Move to the 8th tee. This is not a long hole, but with a water hazard short of the hole, you need to make sure you have enough club to get at the pin. I had a 6-iron there. Push that out yet again.
Yeah, so did I.
The ball snagged into the rough, and I have to say, chipping around the greens at Bethpage is probably the hardest thing to do here. It is so dense and thick, especially against the grain, it just grabs your club, and with the water just beyond the hole, I did not want to skull it. So I have this, what I call an uncomfortably short putt for bogey, rims around the edges and falls in, so we'll move to the 9th tee. The 9th hole is a dog leg left. One thing you do not want to do is block it to the right, which is exactly what I do. I said it was the theme of this video. I am not lying. The misses would be right today. That is a hybrid from the rough. Absolutely pured it. Unfortunately, I hit that a little bit to the right. No harm, no foul, though. I'm chipping just beyond the hole. That would be a pretty good effort, just short of the hole. Would leave me with about 8 feet for par, and I pushed it right away. Leaves me with another bogey. A lot of squares on the scorecard, but no big numbers despite hitting some really poor tee shots. And this is usually where the video ends, but today you're seeing the entire course vlog all in one video. So let's move to the 10th hole. I'm getting tired of hitting everything right, so I'm aiming much further left than usual here. And of course, what do? I hit it exactly where I'm aiming, which would be the left side rough. And you do not want to be in the rough on this hole. This is 193 yards away.
Ooh, that felt good.
And the green is protected by bunkers all along the front edge of the green.
Thank you.
Fortunately, I would avoid that greenside bunker chipping onto the green. That was a very solid effort. Would leave me with about 5 feet for par. This is pretty damn straight. All I have to do is hit the center cup, and I pushed it. That is a tough pill to swallow. 11th hole is one of the toughest visual holes on the course because you can't see anything. There's about a 20-yard wide fairway that is surrounded on both sides by wide fairway bunkers. I will say, though, that it's probably better to be on the right side fairway bunker than it is to be on the left. I've been on the left side many times and never had a result as good as this. So I'm pitching on.
Sit down.
The short game is saving my ass. I'm giving myself putts for par. That's all you can ask for. The 11th hole is probably the first hole where there is any undulations on the green. Obviously, I blew this way past the hole, but I do a good job of knocking this in for bogey. On the 12th hole, I decided that it was time to put the driver away. That is a 3-wood. 12th hole dog legs hard to the left. That is not the shot shape I wanted. But I found the center of the fairway. It would just leave me about 215 yards in for my approach.
Oh no. You ever feel so uncomfortable?
Have you ever felt so uncomfortable that you couldn't finish your own sentence? That's where I'm at right now. I'm in this heavy fescue, pitching on about 40 yards away. pretty solid contact there.
Is that on?
Yeah, you're dancing.
All right.
It was probably 3 yards from being almost perfect.
You can hear my playing partner there. 3 yards from perfection. Instead, I've got about a 30-footer for par. That was pretty good pace, just tapping this in for bogey. The squares are accumulating. The 13th hole is a par 5. As you can see, the driver is still in the bag. That is a 3-wood. Caught that a little bit heavy.
I think so. Kind of hit behind it. That's not gonna be great, but
Not going to be great, but I found the first cut. Speaking of cuts, I need to shape this around the tree here.
oh, I hit it last.
Unfortunately, that was the wrong shape. It's kind of funny. I know in my head how to hit a cut, but I can never physically do it. So this leaves me with a very difficult approach shot. 165 yards. That is a 7-iron.
Short. Sorry.
It didn't feel like a good shot, but the end result was pretty positive. I am just off the green, putting for birdie. I nestled up close to the hole in one of the rare pars on the back 9. 14th hole is a 145-yard par 3. That's a 9-iron. And yet again, I blocked this one out to the right. It was about 3 feet from getting over the bunker. Unfortunately, it kicked off the front lip of the bunker and in. I hit a great shot out of the bunker. Would leave me with about 6 feet for par. The rest of the guys I was playing with made par, so it's important for me to knock this in.
Oh!
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
Nah.
Oh, I wanted that.
Of course, I'm the lone asshole that misses the par putt. We'll move to the 15th, and the 15th, I would say, is the toughest par 4 on this course. It is very important to find the fairway here. And even if you do find the fairway, you're still 170 yards out into a severely raised green. Golf is a game of inches, and unfortunately I missed the fairway by a few. That's a 5-iron from 170. Didn't catch it cleanly. Thought I was in a bunker, but somehow found the middle of 2 bunkers. It was not easy trying to chip out of this. Did not catch that one well at all, but at least we're putting for par. Apologies for the sun glare. Kind of a cool looking shot though.
That's crazy, dude. I did not.
I've avoided the big number as of now. This is a huge bogey putt.
Great putt.
Knock that in. We'll move to the 16th tee.
You have no idea how uncomfortable I feel right now. I can't.
It was just one of those days where the driver just wasn't feeling good.
Look at that.
Like drop kick in the middle, baby. Love it. Maybe you need to be
Drop
uncomfortable
kick.
more often.
Yep, drop kicked that right down the center of the fairway. 191 yards in, downwind breeze. That is a 5-iron, aiming left of the pin because I know my misses are right.
Hit it right at it.
Great ball.
Come on.
It is such a great feeling when you hit your irons well.
That long?
I actually hit that too well, hit it just beyond the green. Chipping on for birdie. Kind of a shitty shot, but got a fortuitous bounce. Leaves me with about 5 feet for par. I have not been making these today until now. That's another par in the books. It's only been pars and bogeys today. I will take that, especially at Bethpage. We'll move to the 17th. I would say the 17th is probably the most difficult par 3 on the course. With all the bunkers that are surrounding the green, it is imperative to get the distance correct. And that is what I did. I'm putting from on the fringe. I mentioned earlier I'm not very good at putting from the fringe. Case in point, I think I have a longer putt coming back than I did going in. It was looking good right until the end, but that's a nice little tap in for bogey. And we move to the 18th hole, one of my favorite finishing holes on any course. Is such a lovely view of the landscape. I absolutely nutted this 3-wood. This is probably one of the furthest 3-woods I've ever hit. 311 yards. Only leaves me with about 83 yards to the pin. That is a sand wedge.
Heads up, heads up, heads up.
My apologies to Sam there for doing that. Thankfully, for his sake, I came up short. Chipping on for birdie. This was such a great chip. I landed it exactly where I wanted to, yet it somehow rolled out so much further than I would have liked. I would love to end the round on a par, and that is what I do. I ended the round by shooting an 83. That is a career low for me at Bethpage, even though it didn't feel like it the way I was hitting off the tee. But I never compounded my errors, my short game was pretty solid, and I always had a putt for par. Unfortunately, with an airport a few miles away, I could not fly my drone, but I can tell you that Bethpage Black is one of the ultimate tests of golf you can play at. I remember the first time I played it, I finished the front nine and I said to myself, oh, that wasn't that bad. And then you hit the back nine and all those thoughts dissipate. 10 through 13 are one of the hardest strings of golf I've ever played, not to mention the physical exertion that takes a toll on anyone who doesn't run marathons. By the end of 18, if the game of golf doesn't get you, the walking will. So make sure you bring a decent pair of golf shoes, and also make sure you leave a little early because Long Island traffic is abysmal, and enjoy the best public golf course in New York.